I wanted to talk to you about the Apple announcements that we just heard yesterday for WWDC. There's some interesting features coming to iPhone, iPad, and the Mac. And I wanted to talk about the cognitive implications because that's kind of what I do. While there wasn't anything earth-shattering to the general public announced yesterday, like widgets were last year, there were some interesting things that were right up my alley, and I wanted to do a brief overview. Heads up, I have not installed the beta yet. I plan to do that as soon as I finish with this. And then I'll be playing with it for a little bit, and I'll report a few things that I notice here and there. Yes, I'm sacrificing my main phone for you, just putting it out there. All right, I want to talk about first is notifications. Anyone who's heard me talk has probably heard me talk about notifications because it's a big cognitive drain on us when they're not managed properly. I do have another video about notifications for previous versions of iOS, and I'll find out later today how applicable it is for the new one. But if you want to get a head start on managing your notifications, you could check out that video. Some of the changes coming to notifications I'm going to mostly talk about iOS 15, although some of these changes go across platform. So first in notifications, some of the things that they're introducing are ways of delivering the notifications. On the one hand, most noticeable is you'll see notifications will become grouped if you turn on the feature. That's for when you really haven't addressed them in a long time, or when the operating system noticed that a particular app has delivered a lot of notifications. At least that's how it will work in theory. There are also different modes that you can create, and this is one of the most interesting things, that there's a focus mode, and you'll be able to create some, but there are some on by default, like work mode or personal mode or exercise mode. And what notifications you want to go off during those times may be different. For example, if I'm working out, maybe I don't need to see email, but maybe I do want to see that when I'm in work mode. And wow, I can't tell you how stoked I'll be if I never see another work email after 6 p.m. That'd be great. Even if I don't answer it, there's still that little bit of drain there. As far as I can tell right now, there's two main things impacted by focus mode. And again, I can tell you more once I've tried it out, but these are just some first impressions from the keynote and the platform State of the Union afterwards, and some stuff I've caught up on podcasts and Twitter. Mostly it's the notifications, like what types and from what apps that you get these notifications. Also specific people. Those are implied in the focus mode. And I'm also given to understand there's some changes to your home screen based on what focus mode you're in. I'm really excited to actually dig into this a little bit, which is why I'm sacrificing my main phone to test it out. Another one of the changes to notifications does involve developers adopting it, which means you won't see it the second iOS 15 comes out this fall. It'll take a little bit to work its way through the system, and maybe some apps will choose not to. One of the interesting things is they're offering 4 different sort of urgencies of notifications. And those are, took notes, passive, that might be what we call now deliver quietly. I don't know if those terms will still be there. Again, I will dig in later. Active interruptions, time-sensitive interruptions. This is like, you need to answer a question right now or you won't have the option anymore. Maybe a password reset, or somebody's asking for permission to do a thing at a particular time. Those are the ones. One of the examples was that, your Lyft car is here. So even if that's not normally one of the things you can get notified during your work, you may actually need to know if the Lyft driver is showing up. The thing that Apple is asking developers to do, and we'll actually see how good they are at policing it again this fall, is Lyft should never send you their marketing notifications. And by the way, they had lots of them back when I went places and had that app installed. They should never have that one on the time-sensitive interruption. It's a marketing. I don't know if this is Apple giving into the fact that they're just accepting that people send out notifications for marketing purposes when it used to be at least against the terms of service. We'll see how that goes. The last type is critical alerts. And those are really for health and safety. They should go through even if you're on do not disturb or on silent mode, but an app has to have specifically approved entitlements. So not every single app can actually do that. There are some concerns that some app developers will say that theirs are all time sensitive and that they should be breaking through. And again, we'll see how that works itself out in the fall. It has the potential to be really, really cool, and it has the potential to be abused. And I feel like time will tell, and maybe there'll be some user options to override. Hopefully there will be. There's also some changes within communication apps that they have the options to let you either say the focus mode, like I'm on do not disturb because I am working right now. Or it might say, so that then somebody could break through if they really need to, because they know, oh, okay, this is worth interrupting you. Again, you have to trust your friends and family that they're going to use that appropriately. And I'm given to understand that that one is optional. But also for specific people. So the idea is maybe my spouse can get through no matter what mode I'm in, but that group text that sure sends those funny gifts all the time, they're only going to break through when I'm in personal mode, and that it can be fairly person specific. At least that's the theory. And it is an API that developers can incorporate. So if WhatsApp wants to, they could say, oh, okay, it's this person. There are some other changes that allow you to associate information by person, and that's its whole other topic that may not have as direct an impact on your day-to-day cognitive interactions with your device. The notification summary is another thing. It's this sort of box that the idea is you can peruse it later. And it's going to learn some of the things to put in it. We'll see how this goes, right? There's supposed to be some learning algorithms for the focus modes too. Like what notifications do you usually respond to when you're in that particular mode? And then it may suggest a different level of notification permissions based on your behavior. I can't tell you how much I have to recommend that you don't just go with the things by default, because that's assuming that the behavior you are doing right now with your device is your desired behavior. And that's not the most common situation that I see with clients. It's usually trying to break bad computing behaviors. If I'm procrastinating a lot and I have YouTube notifications turned on and I hate this task I'm working on, but I'm in work mode and I've still allowed the YouTube notifications, it may think YouTube is my most important, no offense, YouTube, but it may think YouTube is my most important work-related app when really it's a rabbit hole. So making sure if you're going to try these, that either you don't accept their suggestions if they are not actually the behavior you want, or that when you first turn them on, you watch it so that it gets the suggestions. It'll give you the suggestions that are what you really want to be doing during those times. The coolest thing from my perspective is these focus modes will be interactive with shortcuts. So, if I already have a shortcut that says start work now, which I do, and I already have a shortcut that says take a break now, which I do, I can just add those focus modes into it. If I'm on a break, of course I want to see those funny GIFs. That's what my break is for. So there's a lot of different options there. Oh, some things can break through the summary if they're still time sensitive. I think I got those all. The other thing I'm going to confess right now, I was really hoping that there'd be some serious changes to widgets. I was so excited when widgets were announced, and I have a lot of things about my home screen and not being too cluttered and being intuitive and easy to find things. And what I found was that my main widgets were all shortcuts, which meant every page of apps kind of looked the same, and it had lost its intuitiveness, and it's been feeling very noisy. And I was hoping that they'd add something that would help me pare that back down again. I don't want to give up my widgets because the experience of launching shortcuts for me from widgets is so superior to, say, doing it through Siri or through Spotlight. And I can go into that at another time if anybody wants. But I love the experience of launching many shortcuts from widgets. And so I don't want to lose that. But at the same time, I've been feeling dissatisfied with my home screens lately. And I don't want to do one of those fancy, make it look like Windows 95 or whatever people were making them look like. But I do want to get back to feeling like it's simpler, and I've been feeling like it's more complex and less relaxing than it was pre-widgets. So I was hoping for some more stuff there to kind of kick me in the rear to start rearranging my home screen, but that hasn't happened yet. Another thing I wanted to talk about is there's a screen time API. I don't know yet what other changes are to screen time. That is, and I do have some other videos about that. That's a feature that I care a lot about, and I care a lot about seeing improvements to. Specifically, the screen time API isn't quite what I was envisioning. I work with a lot of adults who want to make better choices with our devices. And what we ended up seeing was that a lot of those features, sometimes they're good for that, and sometimes they're really more intended for parents and kids. And that's a good use, but it's not the only use. And so I'm hoping there are also some changes that make it easier for us to self-manage, so that the version of me who's awake right now can make really good choices. And maybe it'll be better with focus. We'll see. I can make really good choices right now while I'm awake all the way. That later me, who's maybe not so smart, like right before I go to bed, can be set up for better success. But the screen time API is not for that. Little history lesson, there used to be, probably still are, some really atrocious systems to help parents manage their teens' device use through third parties, often using device management systems, which is really meant for like corporation disbursement, and some terrible privacy abuses. I mean, the last thing we want to do is set up these systems to protect our kids and then have a company take advantage of them. And that was happening with a lot of these. So this API is a solution to that. It's giving third-party companies the option to create elaborate software for restricting use for teens. I'm going to do a whole little video about that, diving into the API on it a little bit, but that is what that is about. And so that should help at least manage somebody's cognitive attention, even if it's not mine. The home screen, I'm still a little bit optimistic that maybe with focus modes, I can simplify things a little bit, because there are definitely apps that I am far more likely to access while I'm exercising, or while I'm working, or while I'm on a break, or while I'm doing my morning or evening routines. Like, I have a page that's basically for the time of day I do routines. Well, maybe that can look totally different with the focus modes. And maybe that'll be my chance to overhaul my home screens that I was hoping for. And the last thing I want to talk about, and I do rant about this occasionally, is greater unifying of the platforms. So they've added in some new things for handoff, but this new one in particular is called Universal Control, which is a ridiculously cool demo, if nothing else. And in this ridiculously cool demo, there's a computer, and you can control like an iPad sitting next to it with the same Mac keyboard and mouse, and even another Mac. And some people had said who was asking for this, and I'm thinking actually probably like the Apple engineers themselves. I have before sat down with two computers, and it's like, how many people do that? But I've done it. I've paid for those little keyboards that can work. This one works with, when I hit this button, it works with my Mac, and when I hit this button, it works with my iPad. And I've used those before because I wanted to context switch. And I'm a big believer in the fewer barriers to entry, the better. Like the less I have to think about, I'm on my Mac now, this is what I'm doing. Oh, right, I have to hit a button before I can go type on this iPad that's sitting next to me, the better. And the idea that you could just move your mouse over and now you're typing on the iPad is beautiful. I have before, like with two Macs in front of me, sat and thought, why isn't this one working? Oh, right, I need to get the other mouse because then I'm controlling the other computer. This is setting up a new computer or something like that. And just like, why isn't my mouse working? Oh, right, I need to grab the other mouse or something. And it can be frustrating. And so I actually think it's super cool. And I really do believe that the more barriers we remove, the more it is like the right form factor for the right job. If I'm hiking on a trail, I cannot use an iPad. I will trip and fall on my face. I might do it on an iPhone too, but I'm less likely. If I'm on the elliptical machine, I can't work on my Mac, but I can work on my iPad. And when I'm at a desk, I'm on a Mac. And the more things I can do, I don't have to wait. Oh, right, I've got this 2-second task, but I need to wait till I'm at my Mac. Like, it takes me forever to get it done because it's this tiny little thing, but I have to remember right when I'm at that Mac and to have a whole thing in my task management to remember those tiny little things. It's fiddly. So anytime we're removing those barriers, I get stoked. Shortcuts are coming to Mac, which I am so excited to see this transition start. But like a lot of things, I want to hold on to my enthusiasm because in the meantime, until things all get ironed out, which is going to take a few years, what it means is I have shortcuts that I can make for my Mac, but they can only run on my Mac. And I've got some shortcuts that I made on iOS that I can only run on iOS. I mean, some apps like I know Drafts will have his shortcuts integration up and running on a Mac very quickly, but automation's sort of the Drafts thing. So, you would expect that, whereas it'll take other apps longer to adopt on the Mac. And they really do have to adopt and do that integration, although Apple has worked hard to make it as easy as they can. So there's upsides and downsides of both of those. But I think we're getting to a cool place. We're getting to a place where it is less I have to think about it. I mean, a lot of the things that were introduced have only been possible because now the Mac is running a similar chip to the phone and the iPad, the same as the new iPad in that case. And now suddenly these doors are opening up and there's all these things that we have to worry less about which device. And it's just, this is the one that feels good right now and I can do what I got to do. And that to me is super cool and exciting. But there's still going to be some rough barriers along the way. So that's my first early take into all of this newness and how it might impact our brains. I'm going to share more as I do some testing and I watch more videos, and I can't wait to share them with you. All right, until next time.